And we're live.
Wait, but we can't see you.
I can see Jesse.
I can see Jesse.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, now I can see Jesse. Sorry.
It's like an inverse vampire. You can only see me if you have a mirror.
What?
That checks out.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So it looks like we're live. It says it's live for me. It's showing me a video. For the
I
background,
see it.
Wait.
The background's the Breath of the Wild 2.
I see it.
Cool.
Live. Whoa.
There it
Drowning in
is.
malice.
Oh,
There's
no.
so much malice.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody ready?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Oh, I was just looking at the webcam and I realized that on your screen, for some reason, my hair looks so different than it does on my monitor, like just on the YouTube. It's whatever. It's small potatoes. So funny.
You're a potato.
Right. So
I am a potato.
I remembered that big giveaway thing that I was doing for a while. Everything was going smoothly, and then I forgot to give away the one for 99. So I have it right here. And before we do the mailbag, the way I'm gonna do it for everyone who's listening is I'll just read it out, or not read it out. I'll type it in the chat. That way it'll get to everyone at once, because someone might be streaming before other people.
Okay. You're just giving it out like live on stream? Doing it?
Wait,
Wow.
how? Do you have a thing pulled up for names? What?
Yeah.
No, like I was gonna. So it has like all the letters and numbers.
Erased?
I was gonna type in. I was just gonna type it in and send it out through chat.
So just the people in the chat have to like mad dash for their eShop and
No, we'll do
like,
it
type
like
it in?
we'll do it right before we get to the mailbag.
Right, but like if you just put it in the chat, then anyone in the chat could redeem it, as long as they're in the US, I guess, because eShop cards are region locked.
Oh,
so
that's right. It
Yeah,
would be
they
US.
yeah. So it's just gonna be a mad dash for those in the chat. They're gonna
Yeah.
get the code.
You have to do
They're
a
gonna be
Gleam giveaway.
Gleam
Alright,
is good. That's what I used.
That one. Okay.
We're just all criticizing. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't know why
didn't think
Gleam
about it.
didn't work
I
for
was
me.
just
That's
like-
why I've never used it.
My little brother came over and he found it, and he was like, "Can I use this?" And I was like, "No, that's
No.
not mine." So then I was
boy.
like, "I never gave that away." But yeah, I'll figure it out. I don't know. Anyways, you guys ready to start?
Yeah.
Yeet.
All right. Everybody that's watching, please let us know if any technical issues come up. And yeah, I guess we're ready to start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hylian Gamescast, episode 131. We each, I think, maybe aside from Tubes, has given our reaction and our thoughts and everything on the full E3 conference. Daniel and I, we did our reaction and everything together. Tubes was there for some of it. Were you, Tubes?
Yes.
Yes.
Why have I have really, really bad memory. And then, like, the next day, Geek had a great one on her channel that you guys can go check out as well. So today we are just going to be talking about some of our favorite things and ideas and stuff that we took away from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. We have a couple of other things that we're going to talk about before we get to the mailbag. And yeah, I guess we'll start with Daniel, King Banana himself.
King Banana.
Yeah,
Me.
What would you say is one of your favorite things that's come out of this Breath of the Wild 2 trailer that we got?
There's honestly the whole premise of that trailer. It would be one of them with the sky and just the whole idea of the floating islands. I think it is just. I was mesmerized. I watched that trailer like a dozen times more, at least, just because of how enamored I was with it. But just the whole premise of being able to explore the sky and that Hyrule's like down below, it just seems like a really cool. Like there could be some really cool gameplay mechanics and also some really like those funny moments in Breath of the Wild where like you get knocked off a cliff and you tumble down. Like
Oh, gosh.
that, but like absolutely next level, like just ragdolling off Imagine just getting knocked off there. But yeah, I just think that there's going to be some amazing gameplay moments to come out of the whole that whole setup. You know, that's kind of almost like a cheap answer, but I'm absolutely in love with what we saw. So
No, I think you're on to something. As much as people were able to break the engine in Breath of the Wild to do a bunch of insane glitches and mess with the physics engine, I can only imagine what kind of stuff people will find out to do with the sequel. Choobs, your turn.
We're just talking about things we liked about the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh. Go on, starting off with a bang. Okay. It's funny because I was thinking about this and I was like, oh, I have such bad answers. Because my initial reaction was, I'm happy that they mentioned that it's going to be 2022, possibly. I was pretty stoked.
that's a good answer, actually, because
Oh yeah.
people have been arguing about the release date for like 2 years,
Yeah.
including us.
Yep.
I was even under the... Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just nice to have a little bit of clarification about when it's going to come out. And the other thing that really kind of got me about that trailer was like the scene where like Hyrule Castle was in the air and it was playing Zelda's Lullaby. That moment right there, like when it played when we were watching the E3 presentation, that was my kind of like jaw drop, like, the feels.
All right. Geek, do you have a favorite thing or any thoughts in particular that you would like to talk about with the Breath of the Wild 2?
I mean, obviously there's like so much to unpack, but the two things that stand out to me, one of them more finite, is kind of similar with the whole music thing, is when he clips through that solid mass. Not specifically that actually, but I am very curious about it. That's a whole other tangent. But like the music that's playing in the background, I keep saying it in every video I've made in the past like week, but like it just I'm just so curious what music is doing in this one, just because it sounds like the eerie music we got last time, but it sounds so mechanical and different. And the other thing is just, this might seem like a cheap answer, but the trailer as a whole, just watching it, you would think like, wow, there was so much they put in this. And then you go back and look at the other trailer and go, there's so much in that. But then you look at it together and you're like, I have no idea what's happening. I like, there's so much, but at the same time, I literally have no idea what's going on other than them we're going in the skies. That's it. And the castle is lit up, and you would think with all of that you'd be like, oh wow, I know exactly what's gonna happen in this game now. But Nintendo's like, nah, you have no idea. We're all gonna get to like the last trailer or get to the actual game and go, that is not at all what I thought. And I love it when they do that, so I'm just excited for it.
I actually mentioned in today's video something similar to that about how basically the first trailer came, everyone's ideas, theories, every fan had their own idea, but for the most part, every single idea was based off of underground caves or darkness or evil or something like that. And a lot of people had the impression that it was going to be like Hyrule and then this underground layer. And then now it's the exact opposite with the sky. And now everyone's coming out with their ideas of what the title's going to be or what it's going to be about, and it's all focused around the sky. And I'm like, you can't just watch one thing and then base the title off of it. And then the other funny thing is how everyone seems to know exactly what's going on in the game, but then it basically just comes down to them wanting it to happen. I'm sure Daniel's seen a lot of this. I don't know if you've got a lot of the comments on your videos, Geek, but there's been a lot of people that are just 120% sure that the Link we've seen in Hyrule wearing the normal well, it's not even the normal champion's tunic because it's like mixed with the Hylian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, who I just called Sky Link or whatever in my video. I said even if they are the same person, just to make it less confusing, instead of just saying Link referring to both of them, I was going to call one normal Link and the other Sky Link or Ancient Link or whatever, because that was the most prominent theory that I kept seeing in the chat. And it's like they mention because Link's hair is the biggest thing, that because his hair is longer than it is in Breath of the Wild, which it isn't. It's just not in a ponytail.
Exactly.
And then the other thing was that because he's wearing an outfit that made him look like green or whatever, which was the same color of an outfit that the ancient hero wore. But it's
only
like
kinda, because I hate people who base things off the tapestry. Well, no, I don't hate people who I don't like the tapestry artwork as a basis for theories, because
Yeah.
it's so heavily stylized that like nothing, like you can't really draw comparisons out of it stylistically, because people just don't look like how those tapestry artwork people look like.
well,
Everyone except for Zelda in that tapestry has red hair. How many characters actually
Yeah.
in Zelda in the overall universe have red hair?
well, that
You know,
was-
like no,
The Gerudo.
not very many. It's Gerudo, do yeah. Is everybody Gerudo except Zelda? No, obviously not. Like, yeah.
People have made theories on that. They're like, the ancient Link was actually Gerudo. You can tell because of
No,
the tapestry.
red-
And I'm like,
exactly.
what? No.
No. But then also with the tapestry thing, it's not even green. People are saying, oh, it's the same. It's blue in the tapestry. It's not even green. It's but anyway.
Anger.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I just hear so much of it, and I'm just so over it.
Yeah, so I don't really think this counts, but one of my favorite things is just like reading through the comments of the videos and seeing like how determined, like someone will say, I think it's Zelda, and then someone else will be like, I think it's Ganondorf, and then there'll just be like a huge fight, and I have to go and like delete the comment. But
The thing is that,
yeah,
it's like you said, like it's just. I think we've all come to the same conclusion that it's just Link, and you can change your
Yeah.
clothes because you
Yeah.
can already do that in the first game.
he
And
has-
like, I have to wonder, did people watch the trailer in 2016 for Breath of the Wild and see the shot of Link in the soldier's gear and be like, "Oh my God, there's two characters"? No, they probably did. Oh my God, Jesse, you're
Oh my god.
Oh my
No.
goodness.
No. There's Link. But anyway, in 2016 for the first game, there was shots of Link in the trailer with different outfits. There was one where he was literally in his underwear, and that's it. There was a shot
Yeah.
where he's in just full head to toe soldier's gear in the heavy armor set,
Mhm.
etc. Right, and it's just like no one thought, oh my gosh, there's so many different characters in this game.
And one of the biggest features in Breath of the Wild was the fact that you could not just change all the clothes that you got to different outfits and mix and match, but you could also dye almost every outfit to make it green or blue or whatever. And but it was just funny because everyone talked about he has a different paraglider, which he doesn't. It's the same one for both Links. He has the same exact arrow quiver. He has the same hairstyle, because in Breath of the Wild, you can equip like the ancient helm we figured out, and it gives Link the exact same hair down style that he has in Breath of the Wild, this new trailer, except it's covered up, so you only see like the bottom part flapping around instead of all of it. And he's not falling through the air at like 100 miles per hour, causing it to
Right.
blow either. But yeah, there's stuff like that, and I don't know, it's just weird, like the whole green outfit thing. I don't know. There's just like so much stuff based off of something weird. And then, yeah, I guess that's it. My first favorite thing would just be the excitement is good in the community, but when it gets to a point to where like someone mentions their theory or what they think, other people just start attacking when the other people don't even know. Yeah, I don't like. There's the most out there one that I seen was someone talking about how he was positive that Ganondorf and Link were going to combine or something. I don't know. It was crazy. And then, yeah, it's the most bizarre thing reading through all of the theories. So that would be my favorite thing.
This is the one you're talking about, though, right, Jesse? The helmet. That's from the first game. Yeah.
So like
For,
it's the
for anyone
exact
doubting.
hair from Breath of the Wild, too. And like some people mentioned, it could be Zelda because Nintendo cut her hair for the first trailer, and some people, like, even when it comes to the areas in the sky, Some people think that it's where the dragons go whenever they disappear into the clouds. Some people think it's the Sacred Realm. Some people think it's the Twilight Realm, where the Zonai went, where some other new realm that's created just for this game, because almost every game has its own new realm instead of being reusing something. But yeah, I've really liked seeing all of the creativity from people. I just wish they wouldn't take it so devastatingly far. But if I had to pick something that was actually from the trailer, so we seen the islands. I think all of the islands we've seen were like above the Tabantha region, right, Daniel?
Yeah, they're around Hyrule Ridge. So there's the Ridgeline Tower and the Thunder Plateau and like the Ceres Scabland, that sort of area where the big mushroom trees are, basically.
Right.
For those who don't know all the exact names of everything like I do.
Those big stone gateways that we kept seeing on the islands that almost looked like a doorway at the very beginning of where, like, you would presume someone would visit through or come to the island. But you also see those same archways or whatever they are on the ground in Hyrule, right?
Not those specific archways that I can think of. No,
Well,
there are like archways in Hyrule, but they're not that architectural sort of style.
Well, what I'm thinking,
You know,
of
these all seem to be
in-
sort of a new sort of style of structure.
in the video that Rick posted, he had a quick scene of Link running around on Hyrule, because it was obviously Breath of the Wild 1, and there was, like, in the background there was a couple of those stone things. So whether it's there or not, it gave me the idea of, in Skyward Sword, there's only like 2 main islands, and then one that's like a third that's a quest later on in the game. That's like Thunderhead or whatever. But you have like the pumpkin place and then Skyloft, and that's basically it. And even in this, it's like we've seen islands that, for the most part, for at least what we know now about the game, just we can't really see anything of interest there except, oh, it's a floating island, how cool. But we don't really see any like full dungeons or quest events that could happen there or boss fights. We didn't see any of that. It was just like empty islands. But even with them being empty islands and all sharing the same type of not climate, like the areas look the same for the area that they are above, was what I was trying to get to. So it makes me wonder if we see other areas like that for like the Faron region. Would it be like a tropical forest floating in the sky? If we go to the desert, would it be like a floating desert in the sky? Are they going to be based off of the areas that they are above? And the other thing is, with those 2 or 3 the 2 or 3 big islands in Skyward Sword, which that entire game was based off of, even these less important islands in Breath of the Wild 2 seem to be as large or larger than most of the islands aside from Skyloft. And then some of them were even looked like they were the same size as Skyloft. So it'll be interesting to see how well they'll be able to actually make exploring all of these different islands fun, because it sure was not fun in Skyward Sword finding when you don't know what to expect or where to go, and you're just trying to explore all the different islands in the sky, and it's so tedious trying to fly around on the Loftwing. Maybe that was just me though, but yeah, that it gives me the hope I have for the potential for what they could use the floating islands for is what I'm excited about. And I'm really, really hoping that somehow we end up getting Loftwings and then we can fly between the islands. But yeah, that would be my thing. So I guess that's 2. I don't know. Yeah.
You know, it's really funny because I recorded the Loftwing part of the last video for you, but I still really don't agree with Loftwings and Rito both
Oh.
existing at the same
Oh
time.
yeah. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, it seems weird.
I have some real ethical problems with that one.
It's like he's a pet, but he's an intellectual.
Well, do people have pet fish in Hyrule? Is my question.
I mean, we eat fish.
The Zora.
Zora. Zora eat fish. Mifa's a shark.
Okay, next
She
question.
looks like one.
Bleh.
I mean, I don't eat fish, but
Yeah,
that's
that
beside
does-
the point.
That does bring up some interesting ideas. Daniel, we'll each go around one more time. Breath of the Wild or Age of Calamity?
Just like another.
Yeah, or if it's
thing.
if it wasn't something that you liked, it could be something that based off of what we've seen, something that you're hoping for. Not a crazy out there thing like it is secretly Tingle that's flying around the islands, not Link. None of those. Something based off of what we actually seen, like a realistic expectation that you could have, something like that.
Okay. I mean, based on what we saw in the trailer, there's this whole new green glowy arm thing happening, right? And it seems to be sort of the source of your abilities now. Like when Link does the not quite stasis, but similar to stasis move, he just flashes out his hand, and it's the green hand that does it. And then when he does the sort of upward dive thing and phases right through the stone, his arm is like really glowing, and he goes hand first through it, right?
Yeah, and the way that
And there's like almost like
goes
a
up.
portal effect on either side of it that's like the same color as the arm as well. So I guess what this implies to me, and again I could be off base here, is that the arm will sort of fill the role of the Sheikah Slate. And so to me, that opens up a lot of, like, it just makes me excited for like the potential of it. Like, what other powers are we going to be able to get? You know, what new abilities are we going to, like, we just saw these two new ones in the trailer. Odds are there's going to be more than just two new things in the game, right? They're just not showing us everything. And so just, I don't know, the potential makes my imagination just run wild, you know, with possibilities. What sort of, because I think that if we get new abilities through the arm, like those might replace or fill in the role of like traditional items that we would get from dungeons in classic Zelda games, right? Or maybe fill in the role of the champion's abilities, since I don't think we'll have those in the sequel. So, or at least not the same ones. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just get really excited with like all the speculation and all the possibilities that can come from this weird glowy green arm thing. But also there's kind of a dark implication to it. Like his arm, it looks like his arm gets like eaten, you know, so it's like almost like he's got a prosthetic. It's kind of a dark sort of thoughts to go down, you know. So maybe just because I'm kind of on the squeamish side, but it's kind of cool to see Zelda. I mean, Zelda's no stranger to Zelda as a series, I should say, is no stranger to exploring some pretty mature themes. Even when it has a nice, kid-friendly, sugar-coated paint all over it. So, yeah, I just think that it's exciting to see like what story implications are going to be fleshed out, or you know, what the arm is going to be involved in the story. So that's my answer. It's again a little convoluted, sorry, but yeah.
No, you had a really interesting thing, because I think we talked about this a little bit as well, but the two abilities that you mentioned, the one looks like an advanced version of what was the name of it? I forgot.
Stasis?
Yeah, Stasis. And the other one that we've seen, you mentioned it, and the idea that I had, because it's like a whirlwind thing that's like helping him jump through the air, but then he also teleports through the ground. But it kind of reminded me of the same type of weird variation of something like Rivali's Scale. So I wonder if the stuff that we're going to be getting, because so many different gameplay mechanics that was created at the core of Breath of the Wild. Like almost every puzzle, shrine, everything revolved around the stuff you could do with the Sheikah Slate. So I wonder if they're trying to keep it somewhat similar, but a little bit different. That way they can still keep some of those features. Like if you're not warping through the ground to go above or whatever's going on there, maybe it'll just shoot you up in the air like Rivali's Gale normally would. I don't know. That's just a thought for me. Tubes, do you have any things that you would like to see revealed for Breath of the Wild 2, or another thing that you would like to talk about?
Wow, there's so much. There's so much. I'm kind of on the same kind of gear as Daniel in curiosity about the arm and what happened there, because the way that I see his arm is that, like, almost the way that his arm, the prosthetic, is like attached, it looks like it's spreading. It just, I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see kind of which direction that goes, and also to kind of get a better idea if we're looking at a game that's going to have underground exploration as well as above ground sky exploration. So I hope that answered the question properly.
So when you talk about spreading, is it the like
Yeah.
to see the markings on his
Yeah.
shoulder
Yeah.
and his back? Interesting.
Yeah, the idea I had with that was like the malice infected his arm, not to just infect the arm, but to kill him or whatever. But then the green hand like somehow stops it, and it's like, I don't know. That was the random idea that I had with that. And then they could use that as a way to be like, he's not dead, but he took so much damage, or he was cursed by the malice that now he doesn't have 20 hearts and 3 stamina wills because he was weakened by the malice, and that's the in-game excuse Nintendo's going to use to make us start over again.
Honestly, that works for me.
Probably.
Because I really like it when games kind of explain that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's an example I used in my video is Metroid is really good about doing that. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are. Where you'll have like some excuse for why, or you'll start even the game with these abilities and then they get taken away early on, and then you have to like all your abilities from the previous game. And I don't know, like as someone who's just like really into connections and like attention to detail like that, I really appreciate that. And some games like Banjo Tooie, for example, they just let you keep everything and then just give you even more new stuff. Yeah. So I don't know that I've been curious about how they'll reset Link, because if you start with full hearts, it's going to be boring. Like, then what point to getting more stuff is there?
You gotta get those final
Anyway,
2 or 3 hearts.
Yeah.
No. So I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. I was laughing because after I said that, like, Nintendo could use it as an excuse, like it would give them an actual in-game reason to start over that isn't just because it's a new game. And I thought, like, well, why doesn't he have the Sheikah Slate? And then I just thought of, like, some random NPC, like the flower girl that sicks the Lionel on you, someone just throwing it on the ground and stomping on it, and they're like, there, no Sheikah Slate this time. But yeah, I also like the idea that a lot of people had, but then they ended up just using with Age of Calamity, where Zelda mostly uses the Sheikah Slate, and then Link has his weird arm abilities. But Geek, what about you? Do you have any final thoughts or hopes for Breath of the Wild 2?
Well, some people have mentioned this in chat, and I wholeheartedly agree. Are we going to pet dogs this time?
Yes.
Yes.
We better. They literally mentioned it after the first one. Like, we didn't know that y'all wanted to do that. So there better
Also-
be in there and have a purpose.
Someone in the chat was saying that you can pick up cats. No, cats need to be pet too.
Yeah.
But in Twilight Princess, you can pick up the cats and dogs, and
You
I
can play
love
fetch
that.
with them.
Because Link's normal sort of like stoic demeanor changes to just a slight smile when he picks up a cat in Twilight Princess, and it's subtle.
How can you not?
But I live for that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Give us proper pet interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I want to interact with the dogs. And this is also kind of like a cop out, but my two main things are always story and music. Like, this is why people don't understand what kind of games I like, because I'm like, it's mostly based on nostalgia and what I saw my brothers play. So then I played it, and then I got sucked into music and lore. So now I'm like, okay, what's the story element? Which I thought of the underground versus sky thing too. I was like, it's still being lifted out of the ground. Is that still a thing? So there's just that whole story. I'm much more of a lore person, which is why I'm a button masher. Which is why I have never defeated a Lionel or Calamity Ganon. But now that it's coming out in 2022, I said when the first trailer came out, I was like, oh yeah, I'll beat Calamity Ganon before the sequel. And now they're like, well, now you have till 2022. You're gonna defeat Calamity Ganon? I'm like, oh, great. I know it's not hard, especially when you have all 4 divine beasts. But yeah, stories, my main thing. I've always been a lore and music person. Maybe it's the theater brat in me. I don't know.
I will say though that the Lionels are harder, I would say, than Calamity Ganon. So you might.
I
you might
agree.
Make it
Yeah, I
Oh,
100%
probably.
agree.
Yeah.
I did defeat a Lionel once without an ancient arrow. It was the Colosseum area, and I was able to hide the entire time and just kept replenishing my bomb arrows. And I eventually killed it without being detected.
Nice.
Wow. There you
So
go.
I defeated one, but the same way I defeat like bokoblin mounts by throwing bombs from a distance. I taught my mom how to do that.
I had to do that same thing in the Master Trials because I just suck at it. My little brother is like 10 times better at it than I am. He'll do it for fun, and I do it for torture.
Such a fear of
Trials is
dying in
hard.
games, and it makes no sense. I don't like getting hurt or dying in games, and my mom's like, it's literally a game. I was like, well, then you do it.
Yeah.
True.
But she
I
doesn't
will say
defeat
for Trials of the
lights.
Sword though, is that by the time you see any Lionels in that game, they've given you enough ancient arrows that you can just cheese the fight and just ancient arrow
There you
one
go.
shot him. So there you go. I think because by the end of Trial of the Sword, if you use them, I think they give you 9 ancient arrows in the
Oh, there you
last
go.
chunk. So you can there's enough to use on like every Guardian and Lionel you encounter. Pro tips.
The only thing that stinks about using an ancient arrow on a Lionel is you don't get the loot.
This is true. But in Trial of the Sword, I don't know, it's like it's just do or die, you know? And
Yeah, it's more for the notoriety of I did it.
I get it. Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so I'm gonna skip mine because I kind of said some stuff based off of what all of you said. But with the next topic, with again Breath of the Wild 2, I want to. I think Daniel may have been the only other person that was doing this. Geek may have for her channel or a future video, but I want to cover just a few new details or interesting stuff that either you found or that someone told you from the trailer that you didn't notice at first that you think the people
I have a
listening
good one for that.
may like.
I know which one.
I have something. A patron pointed it out to me.
Oh, nice. I kind of.
I wonder if
I kind of mentioned earlier that everyone, the big theory going around that the link and the other link are 2 different links. I think Daniel was the first one that told me that they have the exact same thing. And then earlier last night, when I was working on the video that posted today, I seen a bunch of examples of Link in Breath of the Wild actually having the hair that the new Link or not Link has. And it's like because I've went to the comments of the videos, and for some of the people that have mentioned it that seemed passionate about it, I said, oh, that's interesting. What kind of evidence do you have? And it's just like, well, we never see one on the ground. We never see his face. The hair is different and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but his hair changes with every single hat that you put on. And there's not been any actual good supporting evidence. It all just basically comes down to someone being like, I like this idea, so that has to be it.
Right. The face thing bothers me though, because in pretty much most Nintendo trailers for like any game, they don't really show the face because they're trying to show you the new environments and stuff, and they're showing gameplay footage. And the fact is that we spend the whole game looking at the back of Link's head. and that's
Yeah.
that's the perspective that they showed us from the trailer.
It,
Just like the first game, you know.
it all reminds me of how when the big theory about that tapestry art came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's good guy Ganon." Now it seems like all those people are like, "Oh, it wasn't Ganon, it was Ancient Link the whole time." But now you're gonna play as Ancient Link, and I don't know, it's weird. And then, yeah, so I found they have the identical quivers, like they're the exact same height. It looks like same build. Where if you look at the guy that's in the tapestry, he actually looks sort of possibly muscular. Neither of them, outside of the cave, looks like they have the Master Sword or the Hylian shield. The outfit he's wearing, honestly, it just looks like an extra large scarf that he has unfolded. That he's just like wearing as like a robe or something. Yeah. So Daniel, do you have any interesting stuff picked out? And after this, I want to go around, and each of us, because for some reason there's also a bunch of theories on what people think the sky area is and why we couldn't see it in Breath of the Wild 1. So I want to get everyone's own unique thoughts on what they think the sky area is, or any explanation that they might have. So you can think about that while Daniel lists off his stuff.
Yeah.
We have a super chat.
Oh, we
nice.
do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, read it, Tube.
Oh, all right. Taker610 donates $2 and asks, "Is Link being a Zonai descendant a legit possibility?" And my answer for that is, we know nothing about the Zonai.
Yeah.
That's
We know actually nothing. We have seen their monuments, and we know that Zonai are a long, erased people. That's all we know.
That's true.
So, I mean, like, the possibility sure is out there, but again, we literally
I wouldn't bank on it just because there's not enough information to go either way. There's actually a second super chat from Gibbs.
Nice.
Who's targeting me
Yes,
with this one, I'm sure. Gibbs donated $5, says, "I will not let go of the good guy Ganondorf theory until the game proves me wrong." See you next year, Gibbs. See you next year.
With you on that. I do not like that theory.
Yes.
Ganon's kind of a good guy.
No, not even in Wind Waker. People are always like, in Wind Waker he wasn't so bad, and I'm like, in Wind Waker he spent the whole game kidnapping children, and then you confront him at the end of the game, and he like punches a child in the face.
Yeah.
He's not a good guy. So
he's not a bad guy technically until he kicks a dog. Has he kicked a dog?
I'm sure he has.
Probably.
I'm just sure of it.
Also, sorry, what are we listing off? I've lost track.
Just any interesting.
Number 2 says how many Daniels does it take to screw in a banana, and so I don't know what the actual question is.
You don't do that with a banana. That's but
I had a banana the other day.
Talking about details in the like cool details we noticed, right? But just before I go into my thing, I was gonna say, just further to Jesse's point about it probably not being 2 links. His hand is the same in both cases. It's harder to tell when he's wearing the champion's tunic because of the gloves, but if you compare the hands, you can see that it is the green hand even when he's in the champion's tunic on the ground. So to me, that's enough, but that's just but yes, cool detail that I didn't notice at first because it was Rick that pointed it out to me, our good friend RMFH. There's the shot in Central Hyrule with the Stone Talus and the Bokoblin camp.
Oh yeah.
And I was so focused on that because there's so many cool details with that. There's the Bokoblin camp. It's on top of the Stone Talus. They built like a barricade to protect the Stone Talus's weak point, which is super cool. So there's so many cool details there, which I didn't notice in the background. You can see where Great Hyrule Forest and Korok Forest should be, but the Great Deku Tree is missing. He's not there in the background. And Rick went to the exact spot, and from that exact camera angle in the first game, you can see the Great Deku Tree has huge, enormous leaves, but he's missing in the sequel. And I don't know what this means for the story, and I'm so curious about it, but because normally there's like fog surrounding it, like from the Lost Woods, and then you can see the branches sticking out the top, right? Nothing. It looks like the whole forest is just missing. So it's a cool detail that I didn't notice, but I thought it was really cool, and I would share. But
Ooh, I have
I
to
have no
watch
idea what
that.
it means. Yeah, it's like got me like really, really curious about what's what's gonna happen in this story. Did he get burned down? Is the tree dead? Or did the forest float up in the air on an island? Like who knows, right? So
Won't be the
yeah,
first
yeah.
time the Great Deku Tree died. Won't be the last.
Oh, that's true.
Mhm.
F in the chat for talking tree dad.
Yes,
So that's my answer.
Yeah,
that's
that
cool.
was
I
it.
like that.
That was a real good one. I thought that was crazy too. You mentioned you were so focused on the Bokoblin camp being on the Stone Talus. I was too. In fact, I was like so distracted by it that when I did see what ended up, a lot of people pointed out was just the ruins of Lon Lon Ranch. I was like, "What's that weird stone thing over there?" And everyone's like, "That's Lon Lon Ranch, dude. Didn't you play the game?"
Yeah, that is in the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was just so focused on like stuff that could be new that I overlooked this. And yeah. Uh, the only other cool thing that I noticed is I didn't notice this in the original trailer, but looking back at the original trailer, like we see it looks like Zelda falls, Link may have possibly fell. We assume he does because that green hand thing does save him and catch him. But then when we see Link or Zelda, like we see her fall down in this trailer, but in the other trailer we see her hand actually like floating upwards, and then Link grabs it, and we see some weird reversing of the like the boulder thing, and then like the water drop that was like right before. Well, it was right before he like used the one ability. And I don't know if it's just the power to like reverse certain objects, but even if it's not, I think it's an interesting idea to that they're like kind of playing around and teasing the idea of like, is Zelda going to be in this? Is she not? What's going on?
We have another super chat. Someone else
Awesome.
needs to answer it.
I have. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, yes. I'm going to feel bad for possibly mispronouncing this name. Renatilla? Maybe? I hope. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. What about Link going into the past about 10,000 years ago? Like through the Gate of Time, the Forgotten Temple is accessible. The Forgotten Temple, in creating a champion, it tells you that was basically their library for the history of Hyrule, and then everything in Hyrule was destroyed. I at first, whenever they showed it, I was hoping that it would have some time travel potential. Daniel, of all people, knows how much I want time travel to be in this game. But even then, with everyone's theories on like, oh, this is Link going 10,000 years in the past, and it's like, okay, what's the proof? When we see the land from down below, it looks almost identical to how it looks in present day. Like it doesn't look like it would be 10,000 years ago. Like the windmill's in the same place, the trees are in the same place, they're the same height, everything's the same.
The windmill is the big thing for me because it's like the windmills aren't in the Tengar Canyon are wooden. There's no way they'd be around for 10,000 years. It just doesn't make sense.
That's
But
a
then again,
long time.
Even
like
the Great
Nintendo
Deku Tree
logic
didn't
weird.
last that long.
That's true.
He's living wood.
Yeah, so I mean that's the part for me. Like people are saying, oh, because the pillars, there's the ancient columns in the first game, and you can't see them in that sky shot in the trailer.
What columns?
But like
those gateway
there's
things
like
that we were talking about earlier.
No. Like literal pillars that are on the ground. They're like just like ruins, random ruins
Okay,
in
I know
the
what you're
game.
talking about. Yeah.
But like to me, when I see that, I'm just like, that's probably a rendered distance thing. Like you're so far away from them that the game has to cull some details out in order to keep everything existing. You know, that's just how it is in the first game. Like you don't see every detail of everything when you're far away from it. So odds are that Link and the camera are so far away from those columns that they're just not loaded in, basically. and that's probably means nothing, you know. But people are like, that means time travel for sure, and I'm like, no, it doesn't, you know. Also, they said they were already going to change things about Hyrule, so maybe they just took them out, you know, like who knows? So
Anything can go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
even certain areas in Breath of the Wild look completely different when you're done with it. Terrytown.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, true.
What was
Very
it?
true.
So I had something in my mind and I completely forgot it. So let's just move on to the next thing. Unless Choops, do you
Wait,
have it?
can I say the thing that
Oh,
I said my
did we
patron
skip
pointed
you?
out?
I'm sorry. Yes, go
Yes.
ahead,
You,
please.
Well-
you skipped everyone but Daniel.
I'm sorry. Well,
I'm special.
actually, someone commented earlier, like before. No, it was yesterday when I first posted the thing, and they're like, "Is Daniel gonna be there?" I'm like,
Really? Oh my gosh. Oh, that's nice.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Geek. Please continue.
So this might be something that like everyone noticed. You know, sometimes that happens. I'll like notice something and be like, wow, that's so cool. And everyone's like, yeah, you just now noticed that? I'm like, yep. Anyway, but one of my patrons pointed out, he like sent me these photos. He was like, look, it's not a big deal thing, but and it's, you know, similar to what Daniel was saying about how like they don't necessarily put everything in the trailer. They're not going to put everything out there because there's a ton of clouds. Like, okay, obviously it's the sky, but he was pointing out, he was like, they look like they're positioned like they're hiding something. Like, obviously Nintendo doesn't want to reveal everything. It was just like the way he put the pictures together and like outlined where the clouds were. I was like, that's interesting. It does kind of give the impression of like, okay, they're purposely putting a ton of clouds in the trailer to not show you everything. It could be that it genuinely is just cloudy because it's the sky. Makes sense. But I did kind of like toying around with the idea of like, oh, well, that would be Nintendo fashion. It would make sense to not reveal literally everything about the game. I want to hide things because it made me want to look back at the first Breath of the Wild trailers and be like, yeah, how much has changed? How much is so different from the game? And again, it's probably like a small thing, but I was like, oh yeah, when you outline it, it does look like it's purposely trying to hide something. Could be nothing, could be anything. But it was just one of those details. I was like, I didn't think about that.
I mean, it's
There's
hard.
there's
Sorry.
that one shot in the nighttime sky shot, and he's got the paraglider,
Mhm.
and there's some islands, and you can see sort of peeking out from the clouds on one of them. It looks like there's a huge building on one of the sky islands, but it's like mostly obscured. So like
Mhm.
I really think there's something to that. Actually, I think they're, you know, they have stuff up their sleeve. They're not going to show us everything in the trailer, right? So
No, that would
so
spoil
there's
the fun of it.
Did you
what,
see this new
right?
Skyward
So-
Sword trailer?
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
it
well, okay.
shows
The
everything.
Skyward Sword one is, yeah, the
that's
Skyward Sword trailer
completely different.
and not shy about it.
Yeah, those.
But that's a
yeah, that was
remake,
different.
right? So yeah, yeah. So I don't know. That's I think there's something to that, because I think if those islands are all there is, like, it's not going to be very much game, right? There's definitely more to this. So yeah. Sorry, I'll stop talking now.
No. It kind of choose your turn.
I actually there wasn't anything that I was like, oh wow, I didn't notice that before, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but I don't make YouTube videos and I don't really do the whole theory thing.
Hey, that's why I made a video about other people's theories.
Ah,
Because I don't make them.
yeah,
I'm so bad at them.
yeah, right. Like,
Everyone gets to it before I do. I take a little longer to process.
All right.
yeah, no, there's nothing that I can really think of. But onto Geek's point,
Yes.
right about the cloud thing, because we saw people like RMFH literally seconds after that like actual trailer came out, he was already on his Nintendo Switch comparing like places to Breath of the Wild 2 and the first Breath of the Wild, so they gotta be secretive somehow.
Yeah. He helped with gameplay footage on some of those areas for the video that came out. So if you're watching, Rick, thank you. And he was actually doing that exact same thing that you mentioned in a stream earlier today, just a few hours ago, just visiting the areas from the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, but in Breath of the Wild, and seeing the differences. And I'm like, I would never have the motivation to do that. So good for you, Rick.
Doing his dang homework.
Yeah, I'd be distracted by Yiga or Bokoblins or something. But that is the kind of the whole situation there with the sky and the islands and everything's kind of the topic that we're leading into anyways. So I guess, Daniel, do you want to give your thoughts on what you think the whole situation is with this island? Because just like Sky Link, Ancient Link, whatever you want to call him, there's people that think it's the Twilight Realm, which doesn't make sense at all.
Right.
And there's people that think it's the Sacred Realm. Some people think it's the Dark World.
Yeah.
Some people think it's like where the Zonai disappeared to. So what
Right.
do you think is going on there? Oh, time travel.
If
Forgot
I'm
about that.
being honest, right, a lot of people think time travel. I've seen a lot of theories floating around, and there's a lot of conjecture, and that bothers me because, like, for me, my theories need to be like really rock solid. Otherwise, like, there's gotta be something to get from point A to point B. You know, I like to take my theories of the approach of like follow where the evidence leads instead of take an idea that I think is cool and try and find stuff to back it up, because that's kind of the backwards approach in my opinion. But I don't know, like what the words out of Aunuma's mouth were, "We've expanded the world to include the skies above Hyrule." That's verbatim what he said.
Yep.
When you're in those sky islands, you can see the world of Hyrule below. Like, for me, the simplest answer is often the correct one, even if it's mundane.
Mhm.
As long as it's fun, it's okay, right? But usually that's just what it ends up being. Is just either that or something new. So I see what people are talking about when they say the strongest of those theories I've seen is the Sacred Realm one, and I see what people say when they are comparing it to like A Link Between Worlds or the concept art from A Link to the
Mhm.
Past, and I think that's the strongest one there, but I still don't really think it. I really just think that there are some floating islands that's not even a new concept to the Zelda series anyways. So
Minish Cap.
I
Twilight
think
Princess.
it's yeah, exactly. Like we've seen that in Minish Cap and Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, they've all had floating islands in them. So I just think that's probably just going to be more of that. And as cool an idea as some of those are, I just don't necessarily see it as likely. Or if that is the case, there just hasn't been enough information given to us for me to think that. That's what I think. But yeah, I'm a kind of I'm a party pooper when when it comes to stuff like that. So boo me. Yeah, so
You're
it's probably just
realistic.
that's the thing too, because like I try and temper my expectations a lot, because otherwise you just set yourself up for disappointment, because it doesn't matter how cool it would end up being, if it's not what you were super insistent on it being, you're just going to be disappointed about being wrong, right? So
I think that's
Yeah.
the big caveat right there. Is so many people like I'm totally fine with making crazy theories and having fun with it. It's that fine line between, hey, this is an idea, probably not legit, but I thought it was an interesting idea, and guys, this is what it is because A, B, and C, which is so super speculative. But I'm saying it's direct evidence. It's like there's a line there, and you're crossing it. Like
Hey.
I do not like Matt Pat's stuff at all. But I agree with the sentiment. It's just a theory. That's
Yeah.
the only thing. He makes
Yeah.
bad theories most of the time, but still.
That's so true, because like no matter how bad the theory is or how good it is, he always says outright, "It's just a theory." And like I think we have to all remember that sometimes when we're throwing these ideas around. Unless you actually work at Nintendo, you don't know for sure. So
If you actually
Yeah.
work for Nintendo, you'd probably get fired for saying certain things.
you probably
Absolutely.
Why would you
Absolutely.
want to chance that?
I just
Mm-mm.
the way that you're talking about like for fun theories and this is a fact reminded me of the fake theory that I posted about yesterday on Twitter.
Oh,
Someone
was that the Aster being Zelda's dad theory? That was
Yeah.
so funny. And it was like they both have eyes and a nose.
Legit though,
It
that happens. That's what it feels like sometimes.
Oh my gosh, and
That
it's
was
so
absolutely
funny.
so funny. That killed me. There was one quote I had to text to you that because it was talking about Tarako playing the same theme as Aster's theme, but in like in Aster's theme it's in minor key instead of major key. And then the quote from the article was, "The only problem is since he isn't evil, he can't play it in minor key." And that just killed me. Oh,
Wow.
it's good.
It's a
Just
good
makes me
time.
think
Yeah.
of when I used to try and get into theories, or like when I first started on YouTube, right before I started on YouTube, and I debunked this a long time ago. Have mercy on me, y'all. Was the Zelda and Link from Ocarina of Time being siblings thing? I fell for
Right.
that so hard in my early 20s, way back when, and it was literally they both have blonde hair and blue eyes, and I look back and I'm like, wow, we've come
The
a long
shippers
way.
would hate you for that one.
What?
The shippers would hate you for that one.
I don't
Like,
ship them either.
I don't either, but but you know,
Question.
answer.
So I was reading, apparently in Age of Calamity, there is a part where Tarako has to go give flowers to Zelda. Did that happen?
Right. That's like just
I
a
don't remember.
rando, like, there's like those rando side quests that are just like basically they're actually just icons on the map,
Yeah.
but they're like side quests and you just give materials and it fulfills them. It's
Oh,
one of
yeah.
those. That's all
Oh,
it is.
okay. So I saw on the internet yesterday, someone was talking about how that's like Link and Zelda are secretly dating because he's getting Tarako to bring these flowers to Zelda, and I was
Oh my gosh.
Cute, but also.
like, anyways.
I'm just not big into shipping my fictional characters that much, unless like there's some cases where, like Skyward Sword, for example,
Right.
where it's like it's
That's overt.
obviously that's the intention the writers are trying to convey to you. But then like games like Twilight Princess, I'm like they have like 12 minutes of screen time together. Like they barely talk. Like why would I ship them? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I'm just not big into shipping, just in general. So
What about Zuko and Katara?
well, see that's hard.
I'm
That's-
trying so hard to trigger him.
You're derailing this. Okay,
I'm
so
so
if we're
sorry.
talking Avatar: The Last Airbender, I think Zuko and Katara would have made a more interesting relationship dynamic than Katara and Aang, because Katara and Aang just feels like very cliche because they're just like they're the two like protagonists, so they end up together, and that just feels like a cop out to me.
Can we
Whereas
just-
Zuko and Katara would actually like challenge each other. But then Zuko and Mei are also really good together, and they end up together, so I can accept it. But anyways,
Okay.
it's my favorite TV show. I'm sorry.
This is really funny. I think this is the first time in podcast history that the host of the podcast is bored because we are so off topic.
No, I like the show.
Normally it's the other way around. Normally I'm like, come on guys, get back to it.
Oh, true. But Katara and Aang did end up together, so it doesn't matter what I ship because the writers decided already who gets together and who doesn't. So
Alright, facts.
yeah, that's all for me, folks. Mm-hmm.
Also, Jesse,
Nightbot
Nightbot's out of
hate?
control.
Nightbot needs to be stopped.
LP said Zuko, Katara, they're a ship, and Nightbot timed them
Nightbot's
out
like,
for
"No."
5 seconds for spamming.
No spamming. Oh,
Wow.
oh no. Oh
So
no. No, yeah,
Posted a
Nightbot is
bunch of like thumbs up emojis, and Nightbot timed them out.
Nightbot's a savage. It's become self-aware.
Coming for y'all.
Sentient.
Oh no.
Alright.
Choose,
That's the true plot of Metroid Dread.
Yes.
Is Nightbot came to life and is coming for you. No, sorry. Please take us away.
Yeah.
I'll stop now.
What's up, Jebby?
Ooh, me? Hi.
Yeah, you said tubes, and then Daniel kept
'cause-
talking.
Well, Daniel said what I was going to say. It was just asking you your thoughts, because I think everybody else went.
My thoughts on what?
The sky area.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about that before we
We
derailed.
did, but like, Daniel gave his, and I think gave hers, and then, I don't think I said anything at all.
Well, I still stand
first
true
time.
to the fact that I don't think that Skyloft or Loftwings should be a thing.
All right. My idea is kind of the boring one, and it's basically, I don't think it's time travel. I don't think it's a different realm or world or whatever. I think it's just basically like the first area that we know for sure is being risen, we actually see it rising up, is the castle. And the reason Link looks the way, like he's wearing the champion stuff.
All the buffering.
Oh, the buffering.
Yeah, I didn't even notice until people were like, every day they're buffering.
The buffering emoji or emote there
Yeah.
is what got me.
Oof. Buffer suffer.
So real
So
talk,
it
when we
should
do
be
the
back.
podcast, I started listening to soundtracks while we do it. Just like keep my brain occupied, so that's why I'm always like jamming out.
Nice.
Love it.
It's like video game soundtracks, the usual.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Whenever we buffer, I'm making the ugliest face.
Right.
That's how it is. Like when you're watching a TV show and you pause and the person on screen's like, you know?
I love
it back
doing
up for
that.
anyone?
It's so
Love
funny.
those.
Oh, let me refresh again.
Let's
Mine's
see.
still buffering pretty frequently.
Yeah, seems
Let's-
about the
yeah.
same.
It's like every several seconds.
Buffering equals suffering.
I mean, true.
Someone wrote that in the chat.
Weird.
I love it.
It's very true.
What? This is actually YouTube's fault.
Curses, YouTube!
I refreshed the page and it's like, to verify it's you, please. Yeah. So either someone
Alright.
tried hacking into it, or for some reason.
Rude.
YouTube just forgot that you're a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Daniel, you're making me so hungry right now.
He's just sitting there eating his pasta.
I'm sorry.
I was
I'm
literally like not begged, but I was gonna go by my grandparents tomorrow because we were gonna go out to eat for my birthday, and then they were like, "Oh, we have a repairman coming, so we can't."
All right.
And so I was like,
almost birthday to
"Okay,
Geek.
oh, thank you."
I forgot.
Yeah.
Today's your like the day before your birthday celebration, right?
Yeah, tomorrow's my actual birthday.
Happy early birthday!
Thank you.
Hey.
But yeah, I texted my
Oh my
Opa and I
goodness.
was like, I know you have a prayer guy coming, so I know we can't go out to eat. But if I brought Alfredo stuff, because I'm not gonna eat healthy on my birthday, are you kidding me? So I was like, I'll bring Alfredo, and he's like, I just think it's gonna be a really hectic day and all this stuff. I'm just sitting there like, but I want Alfredo. I'm gonna be with someone else most of the day before I go to work, so maybe I'll convince him.
Make
Let
them
me-
meet Alfredo with you.
I mostly just want him to buy the Alfredo, and then I'll make it at my apartment.
There you
Be
go.
like, just buy it so that I don't have to, even though it's really cheap. And then I'll have a stomachache the rest of the day. It's fine.
It says it's
Nom,
coming
nom,
in
nom. Okay.
excellent condition for me. All
Yeah, apparently we're good now.
right. So
Sweet.
to explain everyone, for the first time in a million years, this was not any of our faults. I refreshed the page, and I had a pop-up from YouTube saying that there was weird activity on my YouTube channel, and I needed to verify it was me to continue streaming. And it sent a thing to my phone, and I had to, yeah. So
Weird.
Make sure you change your passwords.
yeah, important life update. But to wrap up what I was saying before we cut out, because I don't know what anyone heard or did not hear. Basically, I think Link is wearing a different outfit because by the time you are able to get to the point where you can fly between the islands, and there are other islands in the sky, not just the castle, is because the castle would rise close to the beginning of the game, the other islands would rise at a later point, who knows when, but by the time you get to where you can explore those islands, or by the time they actually do rise up in the sky, you would have progressed through the game at least a few hours and gotten at least 1 or 2 or a dozen new sets of clothes. So very boring, very down to earth. I think that's what's going on. No time travel. There's absolutely nothing that points towards time travel in any of the things we've seen. There are visual hints towards like the Sacred Realm and stuff, but even with the Sacred Realm, there would still be a land below, because in A Link to the Past, we know the Dark World was like a corrupt Sacred Realm, and it looked almost identical to Hyrule. So, who knows? But yeah, that's my answer for that. Yeah, I think That's it. Does anyone else have anything?
9.
For a moment, I thought my
Except
headphones
for
were messed
what
up.
Brevin in the chat. Oh no. In the chat, Brevin wrote the video was buffering because Jesse's too close to the truth. The Nintendo ninjas are on the job. And,
There you go.
I think
They're
we're
out
onto
for
something
him.
with that one.
Classic.
That's great.
Also, someone asked if there's bananas in Daniel's pasta, and that's nasty.
No,
Banana
don't.
pasta.
Bananas in your pasta.
pasta.
Oh wait, what?
Bananas in
bought, like, a
pajamas.
dozen
I used to watch
bananas
that.
today.
It's really creepy in hindsight, but
All right, Jesse, keep us back on task. What are we doing?
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
It's been so long since
uh,
I've been on a podcast, so I'm derailing.
Yeah, so really quick, after this, we can get into the mailbag, I guess. We talked a lot about Zelda and stuff. Earlier, Daniel mentioned Metroid for a bit, but I thought it would be nice, since we're done talking about Zelda, if we just really quickly mentioned one thing that we seen in the direct that we liked. Because I know, yes, that's what I was actually thinking, is there was
I know
a
what
very there was a very specific change at the last minute that Tubes made to her bingo card. So Tubes, why don't you go ahead and tell us all about Wario?
Okay. Well, first of all, this is a 2-part question that you put in there. You
Oh, okay.
put what we like the most and what we like the most or least and what we would have liked to see. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say what I like the most. I was just super excited about WarioWare. I was so dang excited. I can't even, guys. I went on and on and on and on about it, and I'm so excited because it was one of those like, hey, what's the most like out of this world thing that you'd like to see Nintendo do? Because you're the realistic one, and I was like, WarioWare, bring it to Nintendo Switch, and it happened, and I basically peed myself. The thing that I would have liked to see is something Animal Crossing related. I was really
Yeah.
hoping that we were
Yeah.
gonna get an update of some sort. But you
Me
know what?
too.
That's they've got something in store for us. Maybe.
I hope so.
Yeah. That was my only qualm. Other than that, I really enjoyed Nintendo's E3 presentation this year. It had a little bit of something for everyone, which was really good.
Nice.
Right.
Also, we got a super chat
We did.
from Ren. I hope I'm saying this right. This is the same person from before.
Uh-oh.
Renatlia.
We're not.
I think I hope I'm saying that right. But they donate $4.99. Said so. Other birds are okay to exist with the Rito. Who will eat poultry but not loftwings? They could be the sand seals or horses of the sky. They have a point. There are other birds in the game other than Rito.
Seems like a very pointed question towards me.
It does. They are attacking you specifically, Kayla.
They've attacked Daniel. They've attacked you. Just waiting for it to come to Jesse and I.
You have a very valid point, but still, the fact that we would be riding on these Loftwing and having them as a pet just doesn't seem right. Like, how would you go and talk? I know Rivali's long gone, but what if you were just standing there talking to Rivali and you had your Loftwing there? Don't you think he'd probably say something?
It would be like the human equivalent of having like a gorilla friend, you know? I assume. Like they're not the same species, right? But they're like kind of similar.
It's like you come over to my house and I'm like, hey, I have this pet monkey.
That'd be awesome. We could talk bananas all day.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask this monkey
There
to
you go.
fling some poo at you.
No.
Gross.
Oh, that's gross.
Anyways, very good point. I still don't think that
Mhm.
Loftwings should be a thing. In Breath of the Wild too.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Who wants to go next for the E3 thing?
Daniel?
Jesse, assign someone. Okay, me. Sure.
There we go.
Okay, E3. What I like the most, obviously, like other than Zelda, I think we can probably say that as a ground rule,
Yeah.
because obviously we all were hyped about that. Definitely Metroid Dread, though. That was my thing, as I was losing it with that trailer, and they gave like the sort of development history video, which is a really good watch, by the way. If like anyone's even like the tiniest bit curious about the game, they should watch the development history video because it was really interesting. And then they like showed, it was probably 40 minutes of Treehouse stuff because they did like 2 segments. The game looks incredible. It looks visually gorgeous. The story stuff here is really cool. And also, since for the last 19 years, they've had sort of an endpoint of the series where Metroid Fusion was like the last game in the timeline, the Metroid timeline. And every game since then has like, they've like slid it somewhere in between. So this is the first time in 19 years that they've given us a game that is like after, like pushes the story more forward. Because other games, like Other M, for example, they slid it between Super Metroid and like basically Metroid 3 and 4. They slid it in between those 2 games. And so because of that, they were kind of limited with what they could do with the story. They couldn't really push the story too much forward because the story was already moving forward in the next game. And they couldn't like do too much backstory because that was explored in the previous game. So they kind of put themselves in a box there. Do you know what I mean? And there's stuff they could do with the story there. And that's probably the main reason to play that game. But I'm really excited to see, like, just because how Fusion ends, which I don't want to spoil it for anybody because Metroid's an unpopular franchise and most people probably don't know how that ends. But because of the way that story ends, it's like, where can this character go from here? Like, what do they do? It's like a total break from the series. And Dread really feels like it's playing into that. And it feels like a direct continuation of that game from the Game Boy Advance. Like, that's how long it's been. And so I'm just like super psyched about that. I've been, and I have a Metroid video coming out on my channel next week because I've been just like so headed into like Metroid. I'm just super psyched about that. So that's probably the thing that got me the most hyped other than Zelda at E3. As far as like what I would have liked to have seen, honestly, my answer is the same as Kayla's, is Animal Crossing. I really thought we were going to get like a Zelda update like we did for Mario last year or something similar to that. But
nice.
But nothing, no mention of it. So I think they'll probably just do a different, like they'll just drop it on Twitter at some point. They'll just put like a update video on their Twitter and just give us no hype. So
I would be so happy if they brought back like the Zelda themed villagers again.
Yes, Wolf Link.
That would be cool.
Wolfling.
I didn't play those old games, right? But I really liked the Mario stuff. So
Heck
I
yeah.
don't know, just Zelda stuff would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Tube,
All right,
or
who's next?
Geek. I said tubes.
Geek
What's wrong with
time.
me?
Okay.
So already got.
I pretty much have mine. Same as Daniel, like Zelda's obviously like my favorite part of it. But putting that aside, this is kind of a three-fer, just to kind of explain the third thing. I'll do it first. I mentioned this pretty much in a video of mine where I react to an entire direct, where because I'm so picky, I guess, or selective about which games I like, over the past few years, I've really learned to watch Nintendo Directs and just get excited for other people. Like, because I know, like, okay, I would love Animal Crossing. Like, I'm talking about, like, years past. I'd be like, oh, I wanted Animal Crossing. But such and such came out, and I know so-and-so loves Final Fantasy, so I'm so excited for them. So one of my first things was the moment I saw Metroid, I was like, oh, Daniel's gonna flip. And then I saw the WarioWare, I was like, Tubes is gonna flip. And I love that feeling of, I know I'm not into too many different series, but I know other people are, so I get excited for other people. And then it's just a cherry on top when there's something I like too. Same thing for what I wish there had been, Animal Crossing. Like, I played it today for the first time in, I think, maybe a month and a half, mostly because I was busy, and I was just like, I need more. I love this game. I love it so much. I just really need a lot more stuff. Mostly just stuff, because I just like to decorate. Yeah. And then off the top of my head, I think the other thing that I really liked was the Mario Party stuff.
Yeah.
Having some of the old, like the really old, like that. The fact that they're updating the mini games and some of the boards, I'm just so excited for that. Just because my family and I love Mario Party. That was both our rift and our bonding time. That's just kind of how it is, I think. And you know, like me and my family are going on vacation soon, and we're going to be playing. Like, I'm bringing my old Wii so I can play Mario Party 5, and we're going to be playing the one on the Switch and like all of the different ones. So I'm just excited about that because those old memories are just so sweet. And yeah, I know there was other stuff I liked too, but that was like the main one was that. Yeah, I think I covered it all. Wanted more Animal Crossing, but also excited about Mario Party. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mario Party seems like a lot of fun. I know I was confused at first whenever they showed it off because they just released DLC for the previous, like an updated thing because they updated their online servers. And I talked to Daniel so much about Nintendo doing something, putting out a game or doing something that took advantage of the new online servers they had. I did not think it was going to be Mario, like a new Mario Party at first. But yeah, and then whenever they announced the Metroid 5, probably like a lot of people in my head, they were just like, Metroid Prime 4, it's still a ways away. But until then, here, enjoy this game. And like when I first seen it, I read it as Metroid Prime 5, and I'm like, what? Is this a joke? They're giving us like Metroid Prime 4 has had such a bad development cycle that they were able to release its sequel before, like, that literally went through my head for like 2 seconds, and I was like, wait, it didn't say
funny
Prime.
though is I've seen people like online that had that legitimate confusion where they like been like, wait, why is the 5th game coming out? They're still waiting on the 4th, without realizing that it basically like Prime is its own like self-contained like sub-series, if you will. So yeah, but it's funny. There actually is some legit confusion going around about that. So, but anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's yeah, because even games that do have Prime in it, I don't consider as part of the Prime thing. Like Federation Force is one that a lot of people don't, but then there's also like a canon Metroid Prime pinball game. That's weird, but apparently is canon to the story. Anyways, yeah. So my favorite part of E3 was being able to hang out with all of you guys, aside from Geek, but then watching Geeks live the following days. So there.
And I was kind of dead the day of. I was working from like 4 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, none for me, thanks.
All right.
It was a good work day. It was something I enjoyed, but still.
Also, Jesse, I gotta mention,
Yeah.
I went and dug up. Do you remember last summer,
that was
we
like a year
made
ago.
our official Hylian Gamescast
yeah,
Twitter
yeah.
thread in which we gave our predictions, and
Yeah.
I won
You just,
that Twitter thread.
Mean.
I did.
I do not
because
remember this.
Well, we all gave some
here's
predictions.
your prize, Daniel. You are allowed to hold it while you give it to Tubes.
Yay!
Aw.
Cubes was wanting or predicting N64 emulator. Geek, you said DLC for Animal Crossing. And I said, and I quote, I predict they're going to tease us some new Metroid because it's been long enough, and maybe another trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, but I don't think we'll get the game yet.
What about
And
Jesse though? Because we did.
I won.
We did technically get 3 Zelda games.
Yeah, but I was
True.
Wait, is my stuff on there? What does mine say?
Yours, actually, Jesse, you're right. Jesse said Nintendo will announce 3 different Zelda games before the end of 2021. 2 new games and 1 remake. That remake, obviously, Skyward Sword. What's the 2 new games? Age of Calamity and the sequel to Breath of the Wild, I guess.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking like the Game & Watch that they're doing for Zelda, but that's not new, I guess. I
not
thought
new.
I
games.
forgot I predicted that in one of my old videos. I totally forgot. Someone mentioned it to me. They're like, you said they might do a Zelda Game & Watch. I was like, I definitely just kind of threw that out there. I wasn't being serious, but great. It was like the
I love
Pokemon
that,
Sword and
though.
Shield thing. When I was like,
That's-
oh yeah, that's still one of my highlight moments. It was literally days in advance. I was like, it's gonna be DLC for Pokemon. I was like, that's dumb. 3 days later, DLC, and I was like, yes, I'm so smart.
So
That Zelda Game & Watch looks amazing, though.
Yeah.
I have the Mario one, and I love it. It's so cool.
Does it
But
do the
the
same thing
Zelda
the
one's
Zelda
going to be
one
way
does?
cooler. Yeah, but I mean, the Zelda one's going to be better because
Got Link's Awakening.
like the Mario one has like Mario Bros 1 and 2, and then like the ball game, right? This one has Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and Link's Awakening. And I think that's like the Link's Awakening part. I was like, Zelda 1 and 2, whatever, I can play it. Like, there's so many ways to play it. But Link's Awakening is pretty hard to get your hands on. And I don't know, like that was just like so cool. I was like, wow, no way. So I definitely got to get that. But,
Yeah. And it has like that modified Game & Watch thing.
Yeah,
that game that's like Link doing it. I don't know.
But it's I know the one you're talking about. I don't remember what it's called.
I wonder if it's a port or like the same as the one they actually released a long time ago. That was a Zelda Game & Watch thing.
I'm not sure.
I'll look that up later. So I'll say I expected Metroid to be there, but I did not think it was going to be Fusion. Or not Metroid Fusion, jeez. This shows where my brain is. So, not Metroid Fusion. Metroid Dread. And do you guys remember a long time ago we were doing that series of top 5 canceled games videos? And there was one we did on Metroid, where Metroid Dread was one of the games that we made. And I'm still getting several comments every day from people being like, hey, it's me from the future. It's not canceled anymore.
The thing is, it was like when we made that video, that was correct. It was canceled. And they talked about that in the development history video. They weren't legitimately developing this game for 15 years. They started making it. They canceled it. They started making it again a few years later, canceled it again, and then only recently we're like, you know what? Let's actually make it this time. So at the time that we made that video, that was correct. Also, we got another super chat. Oh. Looks like €2 from Alex Dawson. Alex, if you have a question or anything, there was no message attached, so let us know if you have a question or anything.
Mailbag time?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could do a mailbag.
Yeah. Bag that mail.
Oh, I'm bagging it.
Daniel,
don't know where it's
would you like
going,
to
but
go
it's
with the
going in.
first question?
Sure. I should
said
read
ask
some
the
of these
first-
questions.
Yes, Daniel, would you like to
Ask
ask
the
the
first
first
question. How are you? How? Boo. Okay, well this one's a Patreon one, so we'll start with that, I guess. Because that's a Patreon perk, as Jesse will advertise to you. Dragon She asks, do you think we'll be starting off with only a few hearts in Breath of the Wild 2, or with however many your previous game obtained? So like in Breath of the Wild 1, however many you had, assuming they implement that feature. If we do start over with heart pieces, how do you think it will be explained as to how you lost all your hearts you earned? How do you think we will regain them in any new games? And if we do get to keep the hearts from the last game, what will any heart containers do for us this time? Perhaps they reinforce the containers, reducing the damage you take as a bonus? There's a lot of layers to this question, but I don't think we'll start off with full hearts and stamina. Just because they need something for you to do they need a growth plan for Link, right? That's what games do, right? So that they'll either have an excuse for like to take them all away, or they'll do like Majora's Mask did and have no excuse and you just start with none anyways. But I just
curse takes everything away. No,
I was gonna say we discussed that earlier, talking about his arm and all of that shenanigan happening, and maybe that would be their excuse for a reset.
It's a good point. I mean, I could just as easily see them not explaining it at all, just because they're like that. But I would hope they would, and that's a pretty good way to do it, I think. Because obviously Link gets pretty messed up in that scene.
The question about like the hearts carrying over, it reminded me of the Twilight Princess Wolf Link being carried over with its hearts to Breath of the Wild. And then like as I was thinking about that, Daniel mentioned something like about Nintendo's excuse to try to explain it. So in my head I just thought about like someone being like, where did that wolf come from? And then Link's just like, portal in the sky, dude. Don't know.
Yeah. I did this with my Sheikah Slate portal open in the sky. Dog. He's my best friend now.
Just happened.
It works with treasure chests
So
too.
I did just check
Just don't think about it.
Patreon again, and I did not see any new questions. So I guess I did put questions in there.
Cool.
Yeah. Do any of you, Tubes Geek, have anything? Any questions that you thought was interesting?
Oh, I picked a question.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did I? Yeah, I did. I can go first.
Go for it.
Okay. So, my question comes from Mountain Man 2016.
You stole my question.
Oh, I'm
Just kidding.
Fight.
I would like your take on if you think it would be cool to have games made that exist in the Zelda universe, but don't have Zelda or Link in them, like an all Rito game or an all Zora game. And to that I answer, Hyrule Warriors.
Has Link and Zelda in it though.
We can get rid of them. They don't need to be there.
But you could just as easily play as Impa the whole time.
Not even not even Age of Calamity, like the first Hyrule Warriors. You could easily get rid of Zelda and Link, and you wouldn't know, except Link's the powerhouse.
True. Link is too OP in OG Hyrule Warriors though.
He sure is. He sure is.
To that point though, I'm gonna dig up an old pitch from years ago that we talked about on this very podcast many years ago. How I think like a really cool spin-off idea would be for a quote unquote Zelda game that is like a party system RPG game, but you don't have Link or Zelda, at least not as the playable characters, and you could build up a party of a variety of characters. You could have a Zora and a Gerudo and a Rito and all these different races in your party, and they would all have like different strengths, attributes. Obviously your Goron guy would basically be like your tank character. You could have a healer of pretty much any of them could be a healer really practically, but I don't know if I would like an all Rito only game or an all Zora game, but I would love a Zelda spinoff that you could do things differently if you weren't tied to Link and Zelda, but you could still set it in that world and do a lot of cool stuff because there's so much untapped potential with those different races, So I pitched this on the podcast years ago, how cool of a game this could be. And I'm sticking to my guns. So.
Wait. So I was thinking about it as you were talking. What about Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land?
That's a good not Link or Zelda spin-off.
No.
A spin-off that doesn't include them. It's true.
I pulled this game up. I should clearly stream this. This looks amazing.
I remember a while back we talked about how they had started development of a Tingle horror game for the 3DS, and then ended up not.
Right.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Because Tingle was too scary.
When Tubes mentioned the first part of the question, a game inside Zelda, I was thinking of the different mini games, and the one that always comes to my mind is that annoying one in Twilight Princess where you have to roll the little ball around at the fishing pond.
Roll goal.
Is that the name? Roll goal? I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, it's roll goal.
Yeah.
It's roll goal, and I hate it so much. But did you know? This is a true story. Doug Bowser made a game in Game Builder Garage. He posted it on Twitter. A little video of it. It's roll goal. I kid you not. Doug Bowser made roll goal in Game Builder Garage.
Doug, please.
I seen your tweet.
I'm like, no.
That was like, this is Nintendo promoting one of their, what was it? It was like Sonic.
See, this is it.
Nintendo
this screenshot.
And Xbox.
Great.
That is that game. Wow.
It's roll goal.
No.
Why did he do this?
Random question: do any of you play or would be interested in playing Legends of Mana on Switch or PC or PlayStation?
I mean, it's something that I've always wanted to get around to because it's such a popular game. I haven't, as you guys probably are aware of my zero free time. I'm sure Geek can relate.
Yes.
Geek, do you have a question picked out? A non-stolen question?
It's all good. Okay, it's a pretty simple one. It comes from Manish Plays. Do you think we'll get Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask N64 versions on the Switch rather than the rumored HD versions? For this, I honestly don't have like a legitimate, oh, this is what I definitely think Nintendo will do. I just know what I would prefer, which is not necessarily answering the question. I honestly don't know what I think Nintendo would end up doing. I'm sure Daniel will sympathize somewhat with me on this, but I would rather it be more akin to the N64 than the HD remakes, partly because I just don't like the graphics of the HD remakes. Not that I think the N64 ones look fabulous, but I don't like the HD one, mostly because of how Link looks when he runs. I don't know what it is. It's the shadows. It's weird.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things they changed, like the one thing off the top of my head, because I haven't played them all the way through on my 3DS, the one thing I do like was the equipable boots. That was smart. That should be kept. But there were other things that when I was watching like Daniel's dungeon videos that just confirmed for me, like, yes, no, they shouldn't have changed so many of these things. So I would prefer it to be the N64 version if I had a choice. But as far as what Nintendo would do, no idea.
Yeah, and
I'm pretty aligned.
I think we've had that conversation a couple of times on the podcast,
Yeah.
kind of where we sit, and so far the answer has pretty much been the same every time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much.
Yeah,
Like-
either that or they just go like
Strong
full from the
feelings.
ground up with it. You know?
Yeah, and that's
Like
what
instead of N64 or 3DS, just like something totally new.
that's what HMK
Yeah.
was saying, right? Like in a perfect world, we would get like a brand new from the ground up Ocarina of Time remake.
Agreed.
Mhm.
That would be cool.
And if they're not going to do that, please don't waste your time on the HD. Give us the N64 one with the quality of life updates.
Yeah. Not the weird boss things that they changed.
Eyeballs. The eyeballs.
It's like, what's
Why
the point?
the eyeballs?
But seriously, the thing that bugs me the most is when Link runs. I don't get it. Everyone's like, what do you mean it looks weird? I'm like, it just does. He looks like he's gliding.
Just ain't right.
The thing is that they like gave him a new. I think someone explained this to me. Is like they redid the animations, but kept like the actual like movement the same. So his animation literally wasn't made for that walk cycle. It's something technical like that, but I'm like, that's why it looks weird. Same with his jump. I hate his jump in the 3DS games.
Yes.
Like he's got such a determined jump in the 64 games. Like he has like a hop forward. He stretches one leg out as he pushes off with the other. It's like a proper leap. And then the 3DS games, he like sticks both legs out sideways for some reason. it's so awkward. No one jumps like that. I don't.
Not
I don't get it.
successfully.
Not successfully, especially not in Majora's Mask where he's able to pull off flips and stuff like that. So it just feels like they're like not like something didn't, like the wires got crossed or something just didn't line up properly, and so it just feels like he's got a walking animation and he's just the animation just plays and he's just gliding and there's this weightlessness to it. I've said this before, but I despise it.
Not a
So,
fan.
Yeah. Sorry. Jesse, you look so.
You wanna
You're, like,
weigh in,
so done.
Jesse?
My little brother's in the live chat.
Oh.
That's why I was smiling.
Hello
Hey.
Yeah.
to
Hello.
Jesse's little brother, Jared. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
No.
Yeah, so if anyone in the live chat has a question, you can go ahead and let us know, because I think we went through all the stuff in the mailbag. And some of the other questions were for E3, it looked like, which has already passed. So,
Yeah.
Poor Jared wants us to talk about Ocarina of Time HD, and we're just all pooping on it.
Sorry.
Well, we're pooping on the 3DS version. I mean, if they have a Switch version, they have the chance to do something great and improve on it.
They could if they use the opportunity properly.
Yes. Will they take that opportunity? That is the question. Or will they be
Wordologist
lazy?
asks, what is your favorite kind of jelly? Grape? Strawberry? Mine's grape, but as long as they have that, like, that signature purple flavor.
I don't like jelly.
Still really like lemon and lime.
I like the lime ones. I like my sour stuff, but strawberry's always a good good fallback. I don't eat Jello very much, so not very often.
Genghis Khan
Or
asks,
jelly.
what's the chance of getting an MMO Hyrule? Could you imagine?
Could be really, really cool.
We've had that conversation before where I think that Link, like, main characters can't be playable, but you'd have to have, like, different races. So you could be, like, Hylian, or Zora, or Rito, and you'd basically customize your character as you see fit.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And, you know, like, your Hylian would be, like, your very well-balanced sort of character, and then, you know, the other races would have, like, weaknesses. Like, I would assume maybe Gerudo would be weak to cold because they're too used to being in the desert, and then you could have Zoras are weak to electricity. Like in Breath of the Wild, they can't use shock arrows, right? And the Gorons can't swim. I don't know. You could do a lot of cool stuff with it, and have really interesting balancing with the different races.
I think it's a great idea, really cool. But I just, like, I worry about it flopping. Like, I see, like, you know, Elder Scrolls Online. When it came out, it didn't do that well. I don't know how it's doing now. I'm sure that they fixed it and people really enjoy it, but it flopped on launch. So
that's the problem too, is because that's another game where, like, Elder Scrolls games, people would look at it and be like, this would be such a cool MMO or a cool multiplayer game, and then when it actually came to be, it wasn't. And even if they have fixed now, they must have, because they're still updating it. They gave an Elder Scrolls Online update at E3. So obviously they're making money. They're still working the situation too. Yeah, like Fallout 76, right? But the thing is, like, that first impression that everybody had, where it's like, this game wasn't that good, I think that was a very lasting impression for many people. So it's just too bad. But I don't know. I like my Elder Scrolls as a single player experience, to be honest. Some games, not every game needs to be multiplayer, which I think some companies have lost sight of how great a single player experience can be, because there's a great deal of immersion to be had there. Just saying. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No secret. Some
of us don't have people to play with.
Yeah,
that too.
That is an
This is why I never finished Triforce Hero.
An MMO, when you're playing with friends, makes a world of difference. When you're playing alone and all of your friends have realized that RuneScape actually sucks and nobody wants to play it anymore, it's a very lonely experience, okay?
Well, yeah.
That's a mood.
Yep.
Okay, anyways, you want to answer another question?
Yeah.
Spoke from the soul there.
we can do whoever wants to pick out the next.
It's your
question.
turn, Jesse.
I just answered two.
I'm saying the next question. It can be our final question for the day. But I seen a really interesting question from Leafo, who says, do you think in a later Breath of the Wild it's so far away iteration we could see regions that are outside of Hyrule? So I think the first game that I can think of that did this was Twilight Princess, like, shoving it in your face that Ordon Village was not a part of Hyrule. I don't know why. It had almost no effect on the story, but, like, it's something that's mentioned every now and then, and I'm like, well, what? Why even, like, distinguish it or whatever? Anyways, yeah, what do you guys think? Any places outside of Hyrule for Breath of the Wild? Do they mean, like, taking the Breath of the Wild engine and
the canyon there?
Oh yeah.
And, like, you can see there's land, like, on the other side of the canyon, and you can see
That's
like
true.
islands in the ocean. So maybe they mean that, and that would be cool. Like, more game is good with me, you know. Put more game, but I have to wonder, like, how many games are they gonna, you know, use this same world with? You know, are they gonna? At what point do they just overhaul it, or are they gonna keep milking this map? You know, I don't know. But more stuff is always good with me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, is he thinking, like, just adding in nearby areas to this Hyrule world, or being able to explore, like, the entirety of other areas, like Termina or Link's Awakening, the Oracle games? stuff like that, where it's the same engine,
Mhm.
same Link, but it's in a different world or whatever. I think that would, honestly, I think that's what they would do if they did a part 3. But I only think they would do a part 3 to Breath of the Wild if this one sells as good or better than Breath of the Wild 2, because it would be the dumbest decision ever to have like Breath of the Wild 1 be the best selling game, and then even the spin-off Age of Calamity selling really, really well, and then Breath of the Wild 2 selling even more than Breath of the Wild 1, and you're like, alright, that's it. We're going to do a different Zelda. It's like, I think, yeah, I don't know. But I think that's what they could do, is take you to a different land with that. Because this will be the 3rd version of Hyrule that we've been able to sort of explore. And Nintendo always says about always wanting to do something new, and if you're doing the same thing, it's not fun anymore, it's boring, and blah blah blah. They've given 1,000 interviews about it. And it was the same reason they went to Toon Link from Ocarina of Time Link, because they had Ocarina of Time and then Majora's Mask. They even made the tech demo in the same art style. And they were like, hey, we've done this same thing over and over. Let's come up with something new. And then they did Toon Link, and it just progressed from there. And I think the same thing will happen with that, to where they'll be like, we could make another one, but then it'll just be really boring. So let's take our chances and do this other thing. And then, yeah. So that's, I don't know if that's an answer to the question, but that's, my turn's done. What about...
It was good.
Geek?
Good.
Chips?
Yes.
Did you guys say anything about it?
I mean, it'd be cool. I'm not against it.
I give it
As long
one
as they
thumbs
just
up.
do it well. Which, if there's one thing Zelda creators are known for, is pretty much always doing pretty well. They haven't really had many
The thing
Zelda
is, if
flops.
you, that's true. If they expand the map, though, like as long as there's still lots of cool and interesting things to do, right? Like people have said, I remember a big criticism when Majora's Mask came out back in the day, so many years ago. They complained like,
Oh, yeah.
it's Termina Field's a lot smaller than Hyrule Field was, right? Just size wise, the size of the world. But like there was more to do in a smaller space. And
Mm-hmm.
so it felt, when you're playing it, very full, very, very robust. Whereas Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time is cool. There's a lot of nostalgia there, but it's pretty barren for the most part, which is why they had to give you a horse, because they're like, you gotta get through here faster. So I like, more is good. I would love more. I love the world of Breath of the Wild a lot, but part of what I love about it is that pretty much every square inch of that map has something to do, whether it's just enemies, whether it's a Korok or a treasure chest or something hidden. There's always something to do everywhere. So as long as there's that level of interactivity and nuance and detail to the world, doesn't matter how big it is to me, as long as I'm having fun doing something in the world.
Mm.
Tube has entered mod mode, I can see. So
Oh, I'm
For the-
Googling fan art right now
the-
because Jared had asked a question.
oh, okay.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Jesse?
I was going to ask if anyone has found the final question to end off the podcast.
Oh, I thought that was it.
Oh, was it?
Oop, me
Oh,
too.
okay.
Oh, well, I
Was
mean,
that it?
I was thinking about your brother Jared's question, asking about if Dark Link would be in Breath of the Wild
Oh,
too.
perfect.
And
Ooh.
I honestly, I think that'd be cool. I'm gonna say no, just on a realistic, like just being kind of realistic. But that's why I was frantically
Agreed.
over here Googling, because I saw this really cool piece of fan art of actually Breath of the Wild 2 Link with like his malice kind of arm with the prosthetic there, and he was like reaching into the ground, and on the other side there was Dark Link that was also reaching, and I just thought that was such a cool piece of fan art.
Ooh.
So that's kind of what like
That's
got
cool.
me thinking about it, and I see so many like Breath of the Wild like Dark Link fan art things all the time, so I think it would be a really fun concept, but I don't think so.
It could be really, really cool though.
Mhm.
Dark Link's like one of my favorite parts of like
So
Ocarina of Time.
cool.
It's like my favorite mid boss.
Yeah.
Dark Link's the final boss of Zelda 2. And there's some unexplored potential there. I think that it would be really really cool actually. Especially like think about what if like when the Malice like eats his arm. Again, this is like total speculation. Like I'm just gonna say it now. I'm reaching. This is all baseless, but it would be cool. Just imagine the Malice eats his arm or whatever, and that from like more Malice sort of forms like a Dark Link from that arm. Like we kind of got in Age of Calamity, sort of like a not really Dark Link, but they were like, what were they called in Age of Calamity? They had a name. I can't remember what it was, but it was for all the champions.
Yeah.
And they were like made of malice, basically. I don't remember what it was called. Someone please fill me in.
I don't remember.
I put 100 hours into that game. I can't remember what these things are called.
Nintendo did do a really good job of giving fans of Dark Link some cool stuff in the past couple of games, because Hyrule Warriors, I think, was the first game that let you play as a Dark Link, and then Breath of the Wild, they give you his costume, and it actually has a cool effect to make you run faster, but I think it's just at night. But still, it's nighttime half the time.
Hollows.
So, the Hollows.
That's it. Thank you. The chat saved me. The Hollows. That's what they were called.
Yeah.
That was cool, though. It was cool that they wasn't just Link, though, for those.
And fun fact, because a lot of people get confused on this, not every version of Dark Link you see is the same thing. They're like every thing is created from something different. And in Four Swords Adventures, Dark Link is actually Ganondorf. Yeah, like his hatred or something weird. It's always hate with him, never love or peace or just relax. Anyways, Daniel, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. You know, how are you, Jesse?
I'll tell you tomorrow. It'll be a surprise to you. No, so, what's going on with your channel that people can check out? Do you have anything coming up that people might be interested in?
We've come to that part of the podcast. Yeah, there's some cool stuff. I mean, my next dungeon design video is dropping on Friday. Everybody loves the dungeon design videos. And I'm sort of just finished another project today, so I'm going to be launching into the next one pretty soon. But look forward to that. We've gotten to the point in Wind Waker. It's the second visit to Forsaken Fortress next. And at first I was like, maybe I'll just like do, I don't know, it'll be like a short video, whatever. Turns out there's actually a lot to talk about there with the sort of thematics of the game and stuff. So look forward to that on Friday. Otherwise, next week I have a Metroid video coming out because I'm just really excited about Metroid. And you don't really even have to necessarily be a Metroid fan to like this video, maybe, because it's more just like, why is Metroid Dread important to the series? You know, so it's the title is everything you need to know before Metroid Dread. That tells you everything you need to know about the video as well. So, but that's coming out next week as well.
I was gonna say,
what's that, Jesse?
I think it's cheating calling it Metroid Dread, because I don't think it's like anything to do with the original Metroid Dread.
In Jesse's mind, it's still Metroid Prime 5.
But
exactly.
No, but Sakamoto said it was. He said it was the same like story concept that they came up with 15 years ago. That they've held on to that. It's the same. Nintendo doesn't let a good idea go to waste.
Okay.
Right?
I am wrong.
So I don't know. They said it was, but they could be lying. They could be lying.
It was just my idea, because I'm like, the old one like would have had like DS style gameplay mechanics. Like I don't think that would translate over, and it looked like they were doing the same engine as Samus Returns, not the DS engine. So that was just my thoughts. But anyways, Capt Bergerson on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instagram and Twitch. And we stream several times, usually 2, but occasionally, if I have time for it, 3 times a week, but usually 2 because I don't always have time for it. So usually 1 day a week, actually Tube will be streaming with me. We usually stream sometimes Minecraft, sometimes other games. Depends if there's anything important or significant going on. But That's always fun. But otherwise, every Wednesday, except for today, of course, because we're doing this. But usually Wednesdays are Breath of the Wednesday, so I stream Breath of the Wild sometimes. That's where I'm going with this. But I do want to kind of do other games too. So I'm just sign up follow me on Twitter. I post it every time. I just post everything there. So sorry, Jesse, I'm done now.
No, I was gonna say I still get anxiety thinking about the Super Mario 3D World Let's Play that you and 𝐓𝐷𝐬𝐿 did together.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
those were good.
It was going really well till we got to the post game,
Man.
and then it was fail city.
Every now and then I start laughing about that one clip that they got that just sounds so inappropriate, and I just so bad.
Because we were both struggling so bad, and that was a lot of fun though.
I don't want to reenact it, but yeah,
it was very fun though. It was a really fun. There was a lot of pain because Champions Road it has a reputation for being a brutally difficult level, and it lives up to that reputation. I think we did like 2 whole streams of just that level.
We did,
didn't we? Yeah, because it took us so long. And I remember this because of just having to state it outright at the end. We beat the level. We had like gone into the level with like 137 lives, and then we had game overed like several times before we beat it. Like that's how bad it was.
Oh my lord!
Like we died so much. It was painful. I would not do it again. But hey, we had fun. That's what counts.
So
it was so stressful though.
Geek, it's been a while since you've been able to join us on the podcast, and I'm sure thanks to E3, there are a bunch of people that are just tuning in for the first time to see you. So why don't you go ahead and let them know who you are and where they could find you?
Yes, I am the Geek Apprentice. I haven't been on the podcast in a very long time. Crazy work schedule, but with it being summer, I am not teaching as much, working other odd jobs, which means that I am streaming a lot more. I mostly just kind of stream random games here on YouTube. Everything's at the Geek Apprentice. I have a Twitter, but that's mostly just promo stuff. But I'm on Instagram sometimes too. And I make videos, which I started pumping out videos in the past week about, Breath of the Wild, of course. And I have a video coming out hopefully in the next few days. It was supposed to be a simple video, and now it's turning out not to be as simple now that I'm trying to edit it. So yeah, I make videos about a lot of different things. It'll be in spurts. It'll be like Zelda for a long time, and then it's Animal Crossing a lot, then it's Harry Potter, then it's Marvel, and it's like all these different things. So yeah, and when I stream, sometimes I sing when I don't sound like this and like hacking up a lung. I was trying to sing earlier while I was streaming. It did not go well. But yeah, I'm just a geek, but not a master geek. Therefore, Geek Apprentice. That is where I'm at. Yeah, I don't have a stream schedule because I don't have a schedule. So you got to turn notifications on and know.
All right, 𝐓𝐷𝐬𝐿, do you have any social media or a YouTube channel that maybe one day if you did something on it once again, or a Twitch?
Don't talk about my YouTube channel, because last time we talked about it, people kept subbing to it. Guys, I don't post videos. I have like 76 subs, and I've never posted a video in my life. But you can come hang out with me. I am active on Twitter at 𝐓𝐷𝐬𝐿. My life is still very chaotic between everything I'm doing in life. I work full time. I'm also going to school on the side. And I am also trying to find a new house and move in August. So my free time doesn't exist right now. But if I am around and can play a game, my Twitch is twitch.tv/𝐓𝐷𝐬𝐿 with an extra A. And as Cap Ferguson had mentioned, we normally do a co-op stream together. We're doing Fridays right now because of my chaotic schedule, but it's normally Saturday. So come hang out this Friday and we're going to play some more Minecraft probably.
Yeah, because they gave us that new update. That's actually really cool. So
gonna go get headbutt by a goat.
Because goats exist now.
Yes.
I am. Everything is at Game Over Jesse, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, which I recently got back. because one day I tried logging in from a new phone I had, and it's like, no, you're not really Jesse. We're gonna lock this account until you can approve the other, or approve access with the old phone number. And I'm like, but I got the new phone because I couldn't use the old number. And then after like 6 months, they finally let me back in. I was like, okay, sure. But anyways,
Jesse had to go to Instagram in real life. They have a building. Jesse went there with his ID. And no, sorry.
It must have been
so every time I'm not paying
adventures.
every time I'm not paying attention to the podcast and I look like I'm typing, I'm actually sitting here trying to hack into Jesse's YouTube channel.
That explains why.
Just FYI.
Yeah, so everyone, thank you all for watching. I apologize for that weird YouTube thing that happened earlier, and then it seemed like for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes after that it was a bit hectic, but then it looks like it's been running smooth since. So thank you all. I don't know what day next week we're going to be having another episode of the Hylian Gamescast, but Daniel has some cool new videos on his channel, some cool new ones coming up. I worked, believe it or not, the last video I made looked really simple. I don't even want to say, Daniel, 30 hours to make that last video.
Yeah.
Hot dang.
Yeah.
I don't even know where you got 30 hours from. Like, where did you find those many hours? Because there's never enough hours
But
when
I
editing videos.
hope people like it, because it was like half theory video, half debunking, and then because I was giving examples on how to debunk it, to better explain it using actual stuff that we actually see, and then giving the actual evidence that we do see to back it up. So it was like pros and cons for each of the popular theories, because my YouTube chat was just getting flooded with different things, and I was like, instead of people talking about what they would like to see, what if I just use like the actual facts for them? But anyways, yeah, so I guess this is goodbye, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.